It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's Rave TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.
Hey, Steph.
Hey, Gary. Happy Wednesday.
It's an exciting week around here, is it not? We're getting ready to go to
It is.
Infocomm and packing up. We get the company gets to see our new shirt. We've had the same shirts at Infocomm for 10 years, and we're changing our branding just slightly at this year's Infocomm. Still look very familiar. Even Steph has, I don't know. Have you seen it yet, Steph?
No, you wouldn't let me.
It's a secret. They're all getting to see it today at 4:00, and I'm excited to explain to them why we're changing it slightly. And it's a fun day. It's a fun day. Lots of new stuff.
Very cool. I'm excited, and they better be good because you've been talking them up a lot. So it better be something good. Yes.
I hope I didn't disappoint. How are you doing, Steph?
I'm good. I think it's just that last crazy few days before we fly out for a show. They're always like, you're always splitting hairs, just trying to get every like last minute thing done. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm so happy that we're going to be back in person, and it's just going to be exactly what Infocomm should be. So I'm just so excited.
Yeah, we don't have an expectation of how big the show is, but I'm going to guess, I think we'll have 25 to 30,000 people there, don't you think?
I think so too. I think ISC, even though that was an international show, so it was a little bit different, I think that was a good temperature taker for just telling like whether or not people are ready to be back, and they clearly are. ISC was a great success. So I can only imagine how much of a success Infocomm will be, because I think that this is just what we've all been looking forward to since, March 2020 when everything shut down. I think we've just been all so ready to come together again. So
I think this would be a great year to have a reception or a party, because I think everyone's going to who can. In fact, we are actually working with a brand on one, and they said that they have, when I talked to them yesterday, 300 people on their waiting list. They had already filled up the number of people they had, and I had never even heard of them having a waiting list before. We've done work with them before, and they never had one before. So I think this would be a big year for that.
That's my goal. I'm trying to go to more receptions this year. So, send me your invitations if you have any parties that you'd like me to go to.
I'm sure Steph would enjoy it. My lights just turned off. How do I look? Does my color temperature change?
No, you'll good. You're fine. Okay, good. The sunlight will fix it.
Okay. Hey, by the way, before we start anything, I want to know, are you watching Obi-Wan Kenobi? Please tell me you are, Steph. Please tell me you're not watching.
No, but my friends have been watching it, and they've all been like telling me it's good. Should I like rewatch any of the movies before I watch this? No.
Don't need to. But what's really cool about it is same actors, Ewan McGregor playing Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you have you also, here comes our social team coming to turn on my lights. You have Obi-Wan Kenobi playing by Ewan McGregor, and you have Hayden Christensen playing Darth Vader again. But what's really cool is you have 10-year-old Luke and 10-year-old Leia in the show as well. So you get to see them as kids. And, I'm a geek. I'm even wearing my Revenge of the Jedi t-shirt today to celebrate another round of Star Wars Day. But in any case, we got a lot to do. We got a lot to cover today. And the most exciting thing is today is closing day to vote for our Reader's Choice Awards. Now, we are really proud of our Reader's Choice Awards, have always been excited about our Reader's Choice Awards, and it's a big deal to us because, we don't do pay-for-play awards. So if you're interested, all you got to do is go to ravepubs.com, click on, you'll see the thing right there on the front. Today's your last day to vote, and the nominations for these awards came from you. The top 3, 4, or 5, depending on how big the category is, or what we compiled into the last vote getters, I guess. And you vote for those. And then the winners will be announced at the first day of Infocomm, I think, or maybe the day before the first day of Infocomm. So they'll all have little plaques in their booth and stuff. And there's about 30 categories.
I get to go give the plaques out, or the little sign plaque things that we're giving out. I get to go give them out on the show floor. So it'll be really fun to get to like shake hands with everyone and get to give them their awards, which, by the way, if you are planning on going to Infocomm, and for some reason you haven't registered yet, even though it's next week, don't forget you can go to infocommshow.org and use our code RAVE, RAVE, and that will get you a free ticket onto the show floor. So I'm sure everyone's pretty much registered at this point, but if that's like you forgot or something, you can use our code still, and you will get to come for the low price of free. The flight will probably be expensive though if you've not booked.
Oh my gosh,
yet, but...
this is the most I've ever paid to go to Vegas. Most I've
Me
ever paid. I'm
too.
like, I don't understand what's going on. I think that, I don't know, that somebody needs to look into that, because I'm not sure this is not
some
price
people's
gouging.
Like Vegas flights are almost as expensive as our Barcelona flights. And that's something ain't right about that.
And the hotel prices are more than they've ever been. Everything is way more. It's going to be a very expensive show. But anyway,
that is what it is.
I published a headline this morning, and I said, Steph, I hope you keep this headline, because I think it's important.
I did, just for you.
I said, if they go public, buy stock in Excite, because Randy Klein just joined them. If you don't know who Randy Klein is, then you haven't been paying attention. Randy Klein's the guy who built Crestron over the last 30 years. He retired, and he came back, and now he's going to be on the advising board of Excite. That company all of a sudden is relevant, as far as I'm concerned. If Randy's there, the company's going to be relevant. Their concept is hardware as a service. Instead of buying AV hardware, you're gonna lease it. Basically, I'm dumbing the whole process down, and you're going to manage it remotely. And they have a whole infrastructure to do that. Excite's a really interesting company. You should check them out at XYT. They're not a client. Just saying, we're not promoting a client. They're just cool. And I think Randy being there puts a stamp of wow on it. And so I think you should pay attention to that. Speaking of wow, one of our sponsors is Legrand AV. And, we have lots of Legrand stuff in and around our office. There's not a thing
Everyone does. Everyone who's in AV probably has Legrand stuff around them somehow.
Yep. And they're a big sponsor, and we appreciate that they've been so awesome to be a sponsor of Rave TV since its inception. And we're proud to have them along with Shore as our sponsor. So I know, Steph, you've got something cool going on with Legrand today, so I'm going to let you talk about it.
Yeah, we have two very exciting guests. We have Christina DeBono and Joe Perez from ClearTech Media. Hey, how are you guys doing today?
Terrific. Doing great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So you guys work for ClearTech Media, but you also are part of this thing called Save. So tell me a little bit about Save and what it does and what it's for.
Okay, well, I'll start. So Save is an independent nonprofit organization bringing stakeholders together in the AV industry to provide inspiration, education, and leadership in achieving the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals that were unanimously approved in September of 2015 by all 193 nations represented at the UN, including the United States.
Cool.
And so that's the mission of SAVE. And I'm the founder of SAVE along with Joe Perez. And we both have been in the AV industry for close to 30 years.
So tell us how, if I'm a manufacturer and I want to get involved in this, what do I do? What's the steps? How are you going to help me is there a blueprint to this, or how does this work?
Yes. So I wanted to just share just a really quick story about how this got started, and then our partnership with Legrand, who has a very extensive sustainability initiative, including aligning 10 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals with their business model. So it was about 3 years ago that our company went through an educational program to learn about the Sustainable Development Goals, which are 17 indivisible and interrelated goals that were identified as mission critical to creating a sustainable world in the future. And this is everything from ending poverty to combating climate change and sustainable consumption and production, which are the AV industry has a lot to do with. And when we went through this education program, our staff, particularly we have a very youthful staff, was very, very interested in putting together a plan, which we did. We put together a plan as a company on what we could do to align our business model with these goals, given the increased amount of inequality going on, the environmental degradation, the climate crisis. We felt like we needed to take action now, and we started reaching out to our trade associations, We looked at government programs that were available. We looked at what manufacturers were doing here in the United States, and we really weren't able to find resources to assist us. And that's where SAVE was born, which stands for Sustainability in AV. But we did discover that there are manufacturers, and Legrand is a big one, who really has aligned its business model and is looking to really make changes, which is so crucial right now. So anyway, we have just launched SAVE. We have a lot of interest. We have a committee to build SAVE, which are several board members who are represented in the AV industry. And we're offering 2 programs right now. One is called SAVE Certified. Get certified. So we offer an educational program. Most people in this country don't know about the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. We found out that international companies like Legrand have aligned their business models, but here in the United States, the US government really is the only advanced industrial nation who hasn't advanced these goals or submitted reports to advance these goals. So most Americans don't know about them. So the educational program is really important. We offer an assessment, and then we help companies go through a process of establishing their own plans. And we actually have a certification packet that we offer companies. So that's one. The second is we are launching a Save a Second Life program. Give your AV equipment a second life at the end of its first life by repurposing and reusing AV equipment instead of it ending in the landfill. Most people are unaware of this, but in 2019, 59 million tons of e-waste from Europe and North America ended up in landfills in this country, as well as in countries in the developing world, including Africa. So this is a huge area. It creates a lot of environmental degradation. Toxic chemicals are seeping into our earth, and it contributes significantly to climate change. So Save a Second Life is a way to start making progress in our industry, and we're partnering also with manufacturers around this. We are partnering with higher educational institutions as well as non-government organizations. So those are things that we're doing. We're going to be hosting presentations at the Legrand booth. So please join us on June 8th and June 9th, Legrand booth W903. And we'll be doing presentations on bringing the Sustainable Development Goals to the AV industry at noon on each day. So we encourage everyone who's coming to Infocomm to join us for this great presentation. Joe Perez is my partner in crime in the presentation. Joe, you want to add anything to this? Because we've done these presentations. We've been invited by several organizations to do these presentations. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to join in and just kind of emphasize on something that you said, Christina, and it resonates here. Beyond just the climate change problem that all of this waste creates, it also creates illnesses within the people who are actually picking through the materials in Accra, Ghana, for example. And it creates respiratory illnesses and things of that nature that they don't really have another option. I mean, they're just trying to create some sort of a sustainable income, right? So I wanted to emphasize on that because it goes beyond the climate change. It's really a health issue that this comes down to.
I mean, basically, what I understand from this, and my exposure is limited, obviously, because I'm just only going through news sources and things. This is more that, like, for example, Legrand can do what they can do, but they also have to put pressure on their suppliers, who also have to put pressure on their suppliers. And then going forward, Christina, like you said, recycled equipment, reused equipment, remanufactured equipment, upgraded equipment, things like that. So this is an integrated approach, right? It's not a one-off approach where you can solve this as a one-off company. It's almost like everyone has to work together because, Legrand has a number of suppliers who also have a number of raw component suppliers, and you have to go all the way back from the source, right? And you have to demand it be fixed. It's sort of like we've been talking about going to electric vehicles. We have to demand that we have to go to electric vehicles, otherwise we're never going to go to electric vehicles, right? It's right. Sort of that kind of concept. Is that right, Joe?
That's correct. In goal number 12 of the SDGs, it focuses on responsible manufacturing, reuse, repurposing, recycling, and the reduction at every stage of the product life cycle. So this begins with how the materials are sourced, as you mentioned, Gary, to how we dispose of how do we dispose of them at the end of their life cycle.
Right.
And as you know, electronics are at this point mission critical and essential to our work in what we do. So we have to take a look at that approach, and maybe we don't manufacture 4 different adapters for product that's being sold for the U.S. because those other 3 adapters for the electrical outlets are going to end up in a landfill somewhere, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great example, actually, is all the stuff that's included in the packaging that you never actually use.
Exactly. So if you sell 1 million of these devices, that's 3 million adapters that are going to end up in this landfill. And someone would then have to pick through them. And these types of devices are made of materials that don't decompose. I mean, they will be there forever and will exactly and will be will create health issues in the future.
Well, I'm excited to go by the booth and see how y'all present this. I definitely would encourage. I mean, first off, everyone's going to go to the Legrand booth because of where it is. But they, to be there and make this presentation, and obviously, we'd love to have you come back and do just a dedicated, maybe join my Ransom Raves podcast and talk about how people can get involved in this. The certification, I think, is key. At least starting with that certification that Christina mentioned. Is there a website we can send people to right now? Is there a place I can go?
So the SAVE website is going live on June 7th. So stay tuned.
That's awesome.
And it's going to be SaveAV.org.
Perfect. So let's make sure we write an article about that, Steph, and get that up.
Yes, if y'all have any press releases, feel free to send them my way, and I will make sure they end up on our website.
Yeah, and
Terrific.
I do a lot of Ransom Raves and about things like this, not just products, but about issues and technology and people in the industry. And I'd love to do one on this. And I commend Legrand for doing this. I also, there are some other companies that are caring about this. Christine, I would say, is Christie Digital's actually done a really good job of tracking all the gear that comes in from their suppliers as well. And so there's some other brands that are out there that care, I think. But I'm glad that y'all are stepping up and becoming sort of like cheerleaders / evangelists for this. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate Legrand bringing this to our show today.
Yeah.
Speaking of my Ransom Raves, Steph, I've been doing a lot of them going up to Infocomm. And I know that you liked one I did with Energenie, a company that most people haven't heard of.
Yeah, this isn't a company that I'm super familiar with, but I was
my
super
Energenie
interested.
Here somewhere. I can't remember where I put it. Anyway, I was not prepared.
He's just shuffling around. Don't worry about him. But yeah, no, I wanted to show a clip of this Ransom Raves because also, if you're coming to Infocomm, a really great way to start making your list of all the manufacturers you want to go see is to look at Gary's Ransom Raves. So,
yeah, I've recorded over 30. Pre-Infocomm Ransom Raves. And so they're little 5-minute episodes of things you're going to see on the show floor. So here's an example of one.
So take a look at this.
So let's first set the ground of, kind of what y'all do. What is it that y'all do? And I know that you've got some new products coming at Infocomm, and you've seen obviously the trends of work. Some people working from home, some people working from the office. Right before the pandemic, there was a big trend towards bringing your own device into the room and making it simple for you to present in meeting rooms and meeting spaces, I should call them now. So talk about sort of where you play in that, because USB 3 is a big part of what you're doing.
Yes, Gary, for BYOM, we developed 2 new products to help you turn your meeting room into a BYOM setup. The first one is the 4KX Plus. We work in partnership with Cisco to be able to enable BYOM in Cisco Room. So it's a combination of software and hardware. We did the hardware, Cisco developed the software in their codec, so it's a very well integrated, so that you can bring your team laptop, in the Cisco Room and use the equipment. So this is a great solution. And the second product is the Toggle. Toggle allows you to turn any other room, a Zoom or Team room, into a BYOM setup. It's a USB devices switcher. So it's another useful tool that will help you with this new trend.
And is that product, are y'all, is it able to work with all the UC platforms? Are there any sort of does it even work with Meet and Pexip as well as obviously Teams and Zoom? And
yes, the Toggle is being designed, and all of our product, but specifically the Toggle is designed to work with all of these soft codec or hard codec platform. And the fact it can be connected with two hosts. So the room PC, the Zoom room PC, the codec or something else, or also the other
in room
exactly.
Codec.
Yeah. Yeah, so Steph, that's just like a little brief snippet of one, but all of them, we talk about the products that are going to be introduced on the show floor, what they're doing in their booth, why they should go by their booth. And it's a good, round. I talk to projector companies, I talk to monitor companies, signal routing and distribution control companies. I talk to chip manufacturers. I talk to every kind of company you can think of that's going to be there at the show, audio companies, and a good way to kind of see what you're going to expect from the show next week.
Exactly. And I sent out that big Rave Radio newsletter last weekend, and just it was a roundup of everything that you'd been doing. And it got a solid amount of opens and clicks. So I think that a lot of people are definitely
ready for Infocomm too.
Looking for what they want to go visit. But yeah, so Gary was talking earlier about how we are very lucky to have wonderful sponsors, one being Legrand, the other being Shure. And we have some news from Shure this week, Gary. They joined the International Telecommunication Union, and they joined the UK Spectrum Policy Forum Steering Board, which is very exciting for them. So it's basically the ITU is a UN specialized agency that's information and communication technology that just facilitates international connectivity. And so I think it is very cool that they are joining this membership
think about them,
group.
they make stuff that touches all the different wireless frequency spectrums that they are definitely affected by groups like this. So they want to make sure that they're part of the discussion. So
yes. And basically the goal for this is to shape future communication technologies with policy and regulatory stuff, global standards, best practices. So they're really setting forward a lot of these things in an international space. So
yep. And of course, Shure will be there at Infocomm with their Microflex.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look at the Microflex, because that's going to be a very popular product, because UCC is going to be probably one of the top 2 or 3 things people are seeking out at Infocomm.
All the STEM stuff is very cool. So let's look at this.
Yep, a lot's going to be popular at Infocomm for sure.
Yes.
They're going to have a great show, but a lot of people are going to have a great show.
For sure.
For sure.
For sure. And For sure.
For sure.
Yeah, another booth that's going to be very busy is, of course, the Barco booth, because Barco like makes everything. Barco makes the ClickShare, which is now a digital signage player. Barco is going to be showing its True Picks, which was very exciting. People love that. But Gary, tell me a little bit about how your Meeting Equity podcast has been going. Because
I think we've published 8 episodes, I think, so far.
I think this is the 9th.
Okay, 9th
Yes.
episode. I've recorded all but 1 or 2, but they're awesome. I'm so enjoying doing this Meeting Equity podcast. Basically, it's a series of 12 podcasts about sort of like how different people in the industry perceive how we're going to solve this. And it includes manufacturers, includes meeting room designers, includes furniture companies, includes AV systems designers, acoustics experts, on how we're going to solve this sort of issue of some people in the meeting room live, some people in the meeting remotely, and tying it all together. I commend Barco for letting me do this because they're sponsoring the whole thing, their ClickShare team. And I really enjoyed this. If you're not listening to this, you're missing a great one. Because if you just go to ravepubs.com, click on Rave Radio, and then go to the Meeting Equity podcast,
Equity tab,
or you can go to meetingequity.com, which is a Barco URL. You can find it all there, and you should definitely be following it.
Yeah, your most recent episode is actually really cool too, because it talks about this idea that the remote participants, they should be the getting the best experience out of everything,
Right.
And so often they were thought as, before COVID, the remote participants were just not thought of as somebody who's important in the meeting, and they were constantly forgotten or just no questions pitched to them. The people in the office, maybe they can't hear the people in the conference room who maybe made a joke and they weren't over the microphone. So the people who were remote couldn't hear. And that's no longer the case, because now C-suite level people are the people joining remotely. And so it's just not an option anymore for this to be a poor experience. So I highly recommend listening to the most recent episode. And
I
you can listen
appreciate
to
you saying that.
Yeah, of course. You can go listen to it on ravepubs.com, as Gary was saying, or meetingequity.com.
Perfect.
So, last story of the day, I thought it would be cool if we just kind of showed, we're posting so many stories that are this is the manufacturer and this is what they'll have at their Infocomm booth. And one of the ones I wanted to highlight was Epson, because Epson's booth is always just very cool. Their stand at ISC was awesome. They had this cave with projection. They are showing what are those?
Well, at Infocomm, what they're going to do at Infocomm, they're going to have an immersive exhibit as well. But they like they did at ISC. But at Infocomm, what they're going to show that's going to be the coolest thing, Steph, is they're going to actually have a room that's going to be dedicated to this new way of doing the UCC, which is what is the term ultra wide displays, which starts with 21 by 9 and wider. And they're doing it with 3 new projectors that have the ability to blank the image to 21 by 9 and wider, so that as you make an image bigger, it also gets taller. In this case, as you make the image bigger, it's not going to get taller. It's just going to get wider. So using more of the horizontal width of the space of the room
without stretching everything out. Oh, that's
right,
so
exactly.
cool.
And so then that meets the Microsoft Teams front row spec and the coming Zoom spec. I do want to mention one last story. If we could pop this up there, my screen.
Yeah, do what you need.
I do want to mention that one last thing before we go for the day. If Madeline can show, there you go. That's our microsite for the Infocomm show. If you go to ravepubs.com/Infocomm 2022. Yep, and you'll see all of our news there, and you can see all these video casts and podcasts I've already recorded, all the product news. We've probably got a couple of 100 product news stories on there, and you just go to ravepubs.com/Infocomm 2022. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it.
It's going to be a great show, and whether you are joining,
if you're not there, just follow us on that microsite. That's where all our videos are going to go. We're going to be posting starting Wednesday night. We will start posting videos. By Friday, we will have easily 500 videos up. Okay, so by Friday, we'll have at least 500 videos up. We hope to shoot somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 during the show.
It's always the goal.
That's always the goal.
We're gonna make it to every booth. It's gonna be a great show, and I am so looking forward to it. And then of course we're gonna do Infocomm replay when we get back.
Week after.
Yep. and we're going to share more information about that. So next week, Gary and I are going to do some special Rave TV where we are doing it. We're doing it 3 days on the show floor from Sharp NEC's booth. So
inside the booth, we will be inside the Sharp NEC booth live every day at 12:30 Eastern. Is that right, or is it 12:30? It's 3:30 Eastern. 12:30 Las Vegas time, 3:30 East Coast time. But we'll be blasting it out through social media. You'll see it. But it'll be live.
You'll see
This will be live. So
it will be live and it will be awesome. So if you're on the show floor, you can come check us out, or you can watch us wherever you watch Rave TV, which is, we come to you live on ravepubs.com, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. I think I got them all.
You got it.
All right. So we'll see you guys on the show floor next week. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Rave TV. Bye,
Great show, Steph. Bye, everyone.
It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's Rave TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.